The Indiana Fever suffered another loss Thursday, their second home game of a 3-game homestand. It was another time playing the Seattle Storm after just facing them over the weekend over in Seattle. They only trailed by 6 at the half, but then an avalanche from the Storm. They outscored the Fever 34-18 in the third quarter, and the Fever showed little resistance all game long defensively. That was absolutely the primary concern in this one, as yet another team was able to get whatever they wanted on the offensive end of the floor. So the Storm beat them for the second time in a week. 103-88 was the final. It's the second time this season that the Fever have allowed over 100 points from their opponent.
I just thought our defensive rotations were bad. Like, we were good in the first rotation, but the second rotation was just never there. And you know, when you give up that many points in the second half, it's gonna be hard to win. So
I mean, like she said, it's just about making that extra effort to rotate. You know, just it sounds simple, but just taking pride in defense and guarding your man, helping on help side. Controlling things that you can control, like back cuts and like getting over screens, talking more. So our goal is to win here, man. I'm just, so ready to win. It's got a good feeling just losing all these games. We have so much talent in this room, so I don't know, just ready to get back to winning.
Now, the Fever had to mix up the lineup in rotation tonight as bad news yesterday. Temi Fagbenle suffered a left foot injury, is out at least a couple of weeks, then she'll be reevaluated. On top of that, reserve guard Erica Wheeler out due to personal reasons. So because of all that, that left NaLyssa Smith to return to her spot in the starting lineup, and boy did she produce. She ran the floor well and produced inside with 23 points and 10 rebounds for the Fever. It also resulted in the first meaningful minutes of the season for Grace Berger, who so many have clamored to see out on the floor. She played 23 minutes, had 6 points and 2 rebounds, but just her first real minutes that mattered this season. But in general, man, this team is just exhausted, on fumes, trying to get past this weekend, where then they have 4 days between games, as they'll wrap up a stretch with 11 games in 20 days, whereas in comparison, other teams have only played about 5 or 6 games. Tonight was game 9 for this Indiana Fever team, and to compound that, is they've really struggled with the physicality and the way in which the officials have allowed for that physicality. It looked like in the first half even, Caitlin Clark landing hard on her right hip several times and not getting the foul call, was even seemingly limping a couple times, and she got a technical after getting into it with a Storm player, Victoria Vivians, and later we finally saw Christie Sides take issue with the officiating. I thought it was great to see her defend one of her players, and being Caitlin means even more, and Caitlin even noted after the game that she appreciated that. As we saw Coach Sides stick up for Caitlin, and just the physicality again that is being allowed. You look at these players, NaLyssa Smith had ice on her left elbow, left arm post-game. Caitlin has scratches and red marks all over. Just the physicality has been one thing that has really surprised me here in the early part of this season.
Yeah, I just feel like we need to get the same calls that are happening on the other end. I don't think we're getting some touch calls that they can go either way, and our players are trying to drive. Our object is to get to the rim, try to get to the free throw line. We're just not getting those same ones, I don't think. So, they're frustrated, but I'm going to fight like hell for them. And so that's, I was just trying to get them going, get them fired up, let them know that I'm fighting for them.
Now, in addition to the technical fouls, we saw some positives as well. Katie Lou knocked down 4 3-pointers for 12 points. And in addition to that, the Fever did shoot it well at the free throw line, making 20 of their 22 points. The trouble was defense was an issue all game long. Again, poor rotations, poor point of attack defense, poor help side. And just in general, so many times we saw the Storm team, really any time they wanted, get into the paint, kick out for a 3 or go up for the layup. Again, lack of resistance is the key phrase here.
Yeah, you can't really harp on it because you just don't have that practice time, so you just got to get to the next. Got to get to the next game. We fell short against LA the other night. That was a game, that one hurt. Tonight, I mean, you give up 55 points in the paint. That's just winning your individual battle. And we're going to get there. We're going to get better. We're going to get back to working on our shell defense. Listen, I took this job last year and they won 5 games. And we built a strong culture here that I'm so proud of. And you have to keep getting better, right? Like, we don't want to settle for 13 wins. So now we've got to add players, right? And we've got a great player in Caitlin Clark. We've got a great player in Temi. We've got a great player in Katie Lou. So now things do change, right? When you get those new players. So then we come to camp and we have just a few days to get ready for our first game. And then we played more games than anybody without the practice, playing against the best teams in the league. Like, I'm so proud of their fight. They keep coming back. I'm so proud of what they do. I've been, NaLyssa Smith, I took her out of the starting lineup. She's never done anything but come back with, I'm gonna do my job. Caitlin's learning, she's fighting, she gets, the whole 40 minutes she's in the game, on both ends, she's getting beat up. She keeps fighting. I've got some great people in my locker room. We're gonna keep fighting. We're gonna keep fighting, and it's gonna click, and we're gonna get there. But it doesn't happen overnight.
I hope our fans continue to come back, because this team is really fun to watch. I don't think we're really showing our full product yet, and it's just a work in progress. We're young, we're inexperienced, and I know we sound like a broken record saying that, but it's true. And we did some good things. We won the second quarter. We were only down 6 at halftime, and then it really gets away from us on the third. So I won the fourth, but this league is that good where you have one bad spurt and it's over, and that seems like it's been the case for us in a lot of these games that we've lost.
The Fever trailed by as many as 27 points in this one, and their record now drops to 1-8 in the season. The record's not as concerning as the play level, I would say, right now. And yes, there is a lack of practice time, and I'll get into that in just a second. But the 9th game right now has made it difficult for this Fever team. They do plan to practice coming up on Friday. I can't imagine it'll be very physical or any cardio, really, considering they have 2 more games this week and a back-to-back. But considering this defensive performance turned in by the Fever, they absolutely need to get together, talk things over on film, walk things out on the court, and always it helps to get some shots up. Now, I thought it was very odd at the end of the game. Fever were down basically 20, got I think as close as maybe 14 in that fourth quarter, and yet the starters were still in the game. I wanted to see Christie Sides follow Rick Carlisle's script and wave the white flag here in the fourth quarter, because this group is exhausted. They need rest more than anything. Yes, the defense is an issue, but they needed rest, and instead we saw Caitlin Clark play all but the final 4 seconds of the first half. So the entire second half, she's looking exhausted out there. And Christie Sides was asked about that post-game, and she basically said, hey, this team doesn't have a lot of time together. They don't have a lot of practice time, so I wanted to see that group together, which I do acknowledge that first part, but at the same time seemed unnecessary to play those key players such a big workload late in the game when the game was well in hand, although I'm sure the crowd appreciated it. Another strong crowd here at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. But ultimately, it's a quick turnaround for this Fever team. They have an afternoon practice coming up Friday, and then a noon game Saturday against the Chicago Sky. Moved up a little earlier and moved over to a nationally televised game. That's why the crew here at the Gainbridge Fieldhouse working hard to turn things over, have to change out the court a little bit to accommodate the national TV audience. And less than 36 hours from now, coming up on Saturday. Reporting from Gainbridge Fieldhouse, I'm Scott Agness of FieldhouseFiles.com.